Welcome, guys, to another episode of Kinda Curious, where we deep dive with those that are thriving in their space. On this episode, we have Mr. George Stanton, professional illusionist and magician. So welcome to the show, George.
Thank you.
Adding color to this conversation is Jordan Weiss, a.k.a. Dash, on 100.3 FM, the She. So thanks for being here, guys. You guys are feeling well. We got some coffee in hand. You've been practicing since you were 15 years old. Can you take us back to that moment where that sparked it for you?
Yeah, so, fifth or sixth grade, I was just kind of on my dad's computer messing around on YouTube, and I came across a random magic video, and, I watched it, and it was all, really basic stuff, but, as a kid, a little kid basically, it really piqued my interest. So I started to practice and kind of learn for myself, and it just started with searching on YouTube, because I didn't have any of the resources or know anything about where to learn, that I do now. So it was really all just through YouTube, and I started having my mom buy me a bunch of magic supplies, and I'd say like a month after I was exposed to it for the first time, I decided that's what I want to do with my life. And it was really, just going to school. I'd show the kids at my middle school, and, I'd show my parents, and I'd say I was really about it and passionate about it for like a year. And then I stopped, and I started playing soccer, and I started to become, really passionate about soccer, and then was like, okay, I think soccer is actually what I want to do with my life. And I went on to high school and, played all 4 years, played, travel team, and got recruited to play at the school that I go to now. So that was like 3 years ago. I'm a senior now. But I think shortly after my freshman season of soccer, I stopped because, I had this injury of the sorts. Kind of hard to explain, but I basically couldn't play as well as I used to have been able to. So after I stopped playing soccer, I just kind of started messing around with cards again and started to perform around school, and my passion for it was reignited. And I'd say it was about a year later I met my now cameraman / manager. His name is Daniel. He was running a on-campus open mic, and he had asked me to close out the show with the performance. And, I wasn't doing it professionally or anything. I was just kind of going around campus and showing people, and that's kind of what I became known for around school. And so he saw me on someone's Snapchat or something like that, and I ended up doing a performance, closing out his open mic, and it went really well. And that led us to kind of pair up and try and take it out to the masses.
Who approached who?
He approached me. Daniel approached me, and he was just kind of like, hey, like, I know you don't know me, but I know you, and I'm having an open mic.
After that, though, to go take it pro, like, who,
okay.
Yeah, whose idea was that?
I guess it was there was never a actual conversation about it. It was, there was, when things started getting really, really official, but I just kind of started referring to him as, well, he said he just wanted to help me. And, he wanted to help me create my social media pages. And, he asked me if I had an Instagram or anything for it. And, I was like, no. And he was like, oh, you don't have an Instagram? So, he was helping me with that. And he started accompanying me, going out. Because I occasionally kind of go out on the street myself, just kind of around the campus and showing people. But, after I met him, he's a photographer, so he started coming with me to shoot street magic. And, I started referring to him as my manager of the sort. Well, I wouldn't say like, he's my manager, but he was playing like a managerial role.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know, it just kind of came together. We started having made it an actual conversation about it after we had like the first paid gig, and that was about a year ago.
Yeah. How did that guy that got you the first gig, how did he come upon you?
Oh, okay. So we were literally, I think it was Division Fest. It was one of those festivals over the summer. And, I was out performing, just doing street magic, and I had performed for him and his family. And based off of that interaction, he had contacted me, sent me an email and asked if I could come to his daughter's birthday party. And, I was kind of uneasy about it at first, just because the type of magic I do is really sorted, or is suited for young adults to adults, and his daughter's like 3 years old, so I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, it'd be more so suited for you, for the adults. And he was like, no, just come, it'll be good. And I ended up going, and lo and behold, the guy that had hired me was a part of Chance the Rapper's team. So Chance ended up being there. His whole family was there.
Right.
And, I had the opportunity to perform for him and talk to him a little bit. And this was, like I said, like a year and a half ago almost. So I definitely wasn't at the level that I am now in terms of performances, because that was my first one. Now I've done a bunch, and, I'm a lot more seasoned. But, it was still a really, really cool experience. And that was, like, just so unexpected going into my first one. And like,
were you starstruck?
I wouldn't say I was starstruck. I was more so thinking about the results of what could happen, like if it went really well, like.
So did that helped you get you out of your head then? If you were in your head? Okay.
Yeah, Daniel was definitely starstruck. But that's like his idol.
You gotta tell your manager, like, yo, chill.
Right?
Relax.
No, he was handling it pretty well. Yeah. But yeah, that was just it was more so, thinking like, man, like, this could be really crazy if, something happened, because of it.
Not that you expected anything.
Right. Yeah, not that I expected anything. Right. It was kind of, I wouldn't say like, it was more so a weird place for me to perform for him at, because he's with family, he's not really, he's kind of just chilling, wasn't expecting Magician to be there, right? And so he didn't want us to record for obvious reasons, but it was still it was a really good interaction. It was unexpected, but it was a cool experience for like the first time.
Did he have any words of advice for you? Did you have a conversation with him?
It wasn't like a full-blown conversation. It was more so like we talked a little bit. He thought he had recognized me from somewhere else.
He's like, you're that street magician from YouTube.
Yeah, no, he was like, I think he asked if, he was like, haven't you been to one of our events before? And I was like, no, but you can hire me for your event. Right. So it was just kind of a little talk, and then I performed for him, like a one-on-one type of thing, and then we talked a little bit after, and that was that. Right. But it was definitely a really cool experience.
Cool.
Does he love magic? Was he like giddy about the fact that you'd be like, is this your card? And he just like giggled?
No, well, he apparently he doesn't like magic. But when I was showing him, it's not like he was really showing that. After I was done, he was like, dang, like that was really dope. And I was like, oh, thank you. And, we talked a little bit after that, and that was that. But when I was performing, his grandmother was there. When I was performing for his grandma, he was just kind of in the background. She was like, hey, Chance, he's doing magic. He's really good. And Chance just said something along the lines of, well, there better be illusions over here, because yada yada, just trying to be funny. But that just kind of goes along with his faith. He proclaims his faith in a lot of his music, and so it wasn't a response I wasn't expecting. But yeah, it was. I'll never forget that day. It was the first performance.
That's an awesome day.
Yeah.
Like it just opens your eyes if your eyes weren't open already to like the possibilities like that can come from things like that. Just like serendipity, like meeting different people that can put you on in a second. Like you're just like every point before that, you've just been like honing your craft.
Right.
and you're like ready. You got to stay ready for that moment that can flip your world upside down or
Yeah.
or right side up kind of thing, and like
Yeah.
just like exponentially skyrocket from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when I thought to myself, like, is this gonna be like the big break already? Like, you know, first performance. But I'm glad nothing really crazy happened
Okay.
because of it, because I wasn't at the level that I needed to be at for
Okay.
anything really crazy to
Sure,
happen
sure,
as a
sure,
result of that. You know, like it was my first performance. You know, I barely had any content on my Instagram pages and my social media and whatnot. You know, I wasn't ready for what he could possibly bring. You
Sure,
know?
sure,
So,
sure.
now it's kind of a different situation.
Cool.
But yeah, but it was awesome.
When you and Daniel are scoping out different neighborhoods to perform in, are there certain criteria that you're looking for? Like
I
maybe-
wouldn't
maybe
say
certain events or like type of demographic, or this is for anyone kind of thing. Like who?
Yeah, it's for anybody who
Yeah.
who wants to watch, and that's actually something, you know, that I really love about magic. You know, it is for everybody. I actually started this photo series across my social media called Magic Unites Everybody, and the concept behind that is, you know, magic is for everyone, regardless of race, you know, religion, gender, financial status, you know, all of those different factors. You know, it's you know, no matter what you look like, who you are, where you're from, you know, it's literally for everyone, and it has these uniting principles. Like, people just come together when they see it. You know, like I'll be performing for, like, you know, 2 or 3 people, and someone will walk past and be interested and come and watch, and you know, now I've got these 2 groups of people that don't know each other at all, you know, coming together and, you know, watching my performance. And you know, it feels good to be a facilitator of that unity, you know, and because I think that's something that the world needs right now, is, you know, the concept of unity. And I think, you know, the world could be a lot better place right now if, you know, we all.
So do you think
together,
you'd go to Israel or Pakistan and go between the two and be like, hey guys, circle around?
Yeah, Magicians Across Borders, you know about that organization?
Right. If that was doable, you know, I would. But
Everybody
no,
likes
it's
magic. Come on,
yeah.
guys, gather around.
Yeah, no, it's just you know, it's that's, like I was saying, it's just one of my favorite things about it, you know, is just the positive effect that it has on people, you know. And you know, I performed for lots of demographics of people. I think I've hit most of them, if not all of them. And you know, I think magic brings out the best sides of people, you know, that you don't see every day. So it's oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, like things like curiosity, things like the oohs and the ahs, and like they're like, you're blowing people's minds. For that like 10 minutes you have their attention, they're in your space,
Right.
and you get to facilitate their emotions.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. So
To the point where they want to share.
Yeah. Going back to what you said about the specific targets that I have, though, I wouldn't say, like I said, you know, I'm willing to perform for anyone that's going to watch, but you know, I'm trying to reach the most, I mean, as many people as I possibly can. So, you know, there's not really any criteria for where we go, but we will, like, kind of scout people, you know, kind of scout people out, and, you know, say, like, you know, well, they have a lot of energy, you know, because we're filming too, and, you know, we want to try and get as much good footage as we can. So probably won't approach people who are, like, just, like, really depressed looking, or, you know, just kind of like,
That's
you know,
the guy
like,
who needs
it's
magic the most, man.
well, through my experiences with that,
You should do a homeless series. Let's do it.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah.
That would actually be really
Let's go to
cool.
Tent
Yeah.
City. Let's go to Tent City,
Yeah.
right along the entrance to 290 on Roosevelt.
Yeah.
It's a community there. It
Yeah.
almost feels like a gated community, because on the other side there's a fence. But like, it's its own little world, neighborhood over there. And
Yeah,
I think just to, and on the flip side, you're indirectly showing a different side of Chicago that most people on social media probably don't see.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like you're
that's true.
kind of indirectly infusing like some like goodness to social media.
Philanthropy into the
Yeah, that's definitely something that we're gonna do. Performing magic for homeless people, and we have a lot of ideas, like different creative ideas like that. Yeah.
Right.
But you know, it's
maybe fundraise for some goods. It's getting cold out, right? So some like hoodie weather, get some socks or shirts going.
We actually Daniel has this. He talked to me about this idea a long time ago, starting a nonprofit organization for the homeless, actually, and basically his idea was to raise money to provide, care packages and things of that nature for them. But me coming in and bridging the gap, with magic, and doing stuff like that.
And if that's a big undertaking and you want to focus on your own craft, there are plenty of other nonprofits out there that have focus on the homeless population as well. So if you just want to like maybe collab with another that's already with a nonprofit org that's established and be like, hey, these are my services that I can offer. Can we do a collab? And
no, that's a great
so you don't
idea.
stretch yourself too thin.
Right.
You're talking about helping Chicago, which is cool. Are you going to stay in Chicago after you graduate, you think?
Yeah, most likely. I mean, I guess it depends on how business is going and whatnot, but I definitely don't foresee.
Where would you ideally want to live? Like where do you without the work, without the magic, like
that's a good question.
International, like a nomad? Like no, I don't. I live everywhere and nowhere. Like
I mean, I don't know. I love Chicago. I love living here and everything. I went to Los Angeles over the summer.
I saw that, the Venice Beach one.
Yeah. I went to Los Angeles. That was actually my birthday weekend. We filmed some street magic out there, and that was really cool. I love LA. I like California a lot. I wouldn't mind living out there. But
fires are going on right now.
Oh yeah.
There's so many reasons. You're like, well, we might not have LA in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Interesting. Would you rather be in LA doing magic than Chicago, you think?
No, I Chicago is a really good place to start doing, what I'm doing, because it's not as common here as it is in places like, LA and like Vegas and cities you think of when you think magic.
Easier to make a name for yourself.
Yeah. It's definitely unique here. A lot of people don't see it. Everyone is always, very surprised. It's I don't know. It's something about Chicago that I don't know. Maybe it's the people. It's really. I don't know. I love it.
Well, you have a good pulse on Chicago. So what?
Yeah, so Chicago's it's the third largest media market in the world. Number 2 being LA, and number 1 being New York. But I mean, the ability to afford being in Chicago is way easier than LA or New York.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can. It's so accessible. You can take a train pretty much anywhere in the city for $2.50. But I mean, Chicago's just got a really good history of cultivating artists, right? Like everyone from Chance the Rapper, who got a 10-day suspension from Jones College Prep in the middle of the city, and that's when he made his first mixtape, to Kanye West, to Hannibal Buress doing stand-up. He still shows up and does stand-up. Or all the famous comedians at Second City who, same thing, like, they lived here on nothing. They had no money, and then they became Steve Carell or Stephen Colbert, Tina Fey. Like, they all studied here and lived here and were waiters here and hustled and were able to really develop their craft here in front of Chicago, which is, I think, an audience and a city of people who love to prop up their own. So, like, I mean, you see Chance the Rapper walking down State Street outside Columbia doing one of his music videos for 10 days as a young kid, and nobody knows who he is. Everybody who's walked down that street will be like, oh, like, I've walked down that street. I like this kid. I'm going to make sure I tell other people to watch this kid. And you seem to be in the right place to find that type of success and that type of support, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So I wouldn't. Chicago's definitely where I'm going to be for a while.
After the injury, you said you kind of went back to magic. You dabbled back into magic.
Right.
What part of that reignited that passion? Like, can you be a little more elaborate on like you wanting to go back into it, like deep into it?
So after I stopped playing soccer, I just had a ton of free time on my hand.
Okay.
And I had actually brought a few decks of cards, with me from home, like just to have, wasn't really doing anything with them, just had them. And, after I stopped playing soccer, I just had so much free time on my hands. I just kind of picked up a deck and, was just kind of messing around. And, that just kind of turned into me learning new stuff, it was, I mean, I guess there was really no point where I was like, all right, like, I'm going to go back into this immediately. It was just kind of...
Or I guess what made you lose it, I guess?
Lose interest in magic in the beginning?
Yeah. Or was it just you found soccer?
I think just as a kid, your interest is on certain things are very, short. Like you're just kind of moving from one thing to the next to the next.
You're
and
not really thinking too much about it. Yeah.
Like you're just, your different things hold your attention for a different amount of time. So it wasn't really like an event that happened that made me stop. It was just, at the time, my really good friend was playing soccer too. And it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. Just like, all right, like moving on to something else. But when I started getting back into it, it was just simply because of the fact I had so much free time, and I just picked up a deck of cards one day and was just kind of messing around, and that turned into me showing my roommate some things, and that turned into me showing people in my dorm some things, which turned into me like kind of showing a lot of people around the school some things.
I still got it.
Then I was like, all right, like the passion was starting to come back for it, and I remembered why, I liked it so much in the first place, and I was like, all right,
The way it made others feel.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the main reasons, but it's also, like I'm obsessed with...
And you're good with it.
Yeah, well, over time I started but I mean, I'm obsessed with magic itself, the methodology and, the principles behind it. It's all very fascinating to me, and it's not easy, so it's like that sense of...
If it was, everyone could do it.
Right, yeah, the challenge behind it, I like too.
To segue from that, we're all performers at at a certain level, a little different from each other.
Right.
How, through magic, are you able to, like, can you deconstruct a trick, like, to make it compelling? There are like parts to it. If there's a way to put it into words, like the beginning, the build up, and then, like, you hook them, and then explain all that.
Right, like the reveal. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess it depends on, what you're doing, but a big thing for me is the presentation behind all of it. Like, I think you need to have, like, one of the things, my idol, David Blaine, one of the reasons why he's my idol is because he embodies all of the qualities that I think a great, amazing, the best magician should have. And one of those qualities that he has is his presentational skills. I think a lot of people online, like on a lot of magicians that are on Instagram and Facebook, like kind of the social media magicians, I think that's something that a lot of them lack, and I'm not like bashing them or anything, but
I think we've noticed that too.
Yeah, it's a lot of times when you see a magic video go viral, it's like a 15-second thing where, the magician is like facing the camera, like performing for the camera, and it's like this 15-second really visual thing, with a really attractive girl in it for, clickbait or whatever.
It's like shock value. It's clickbait, shock value.
Yeah, and I think the thing that makes magic really good, besides the magic itself being good, is really how it's presented, and that's something that I focus a lot on when practicing is the presentation. So going back to what you're saying about how to deconstruct it, I guess there's a beginning, and the reveal, as magicians call it, the reveal is the reveal of the magic, like what makes it magic,
Right.
So I guess, like I said,
But there's
I guess
so much in between the two.
Yeah, it's like I
just
said, I
like-
guess it really just depends on what you're doing. I guess there's the build up.
Right.
Do you watch other magicians and you're like, I know how you did that? Like, does it ruin watching magic for you because you're
No,
just trying to deconstruct what they did?
No. As a magician, you can kind of expect, especially with the specialties, the fields that I'm in, which is card magic and mentalism. So I don't watch magic videos to figure out, how it's done, because 9 times out of 10, I'll have some background on it, but it's really because I'm always looking to learn and improve and kind of learn from other people. Like David Blaine has been one of my greatest teachers, and I've never met the man ever.
And you don't have to.
And I don't have to. Hopefully I will.
He's so out there that you can just study.
Yeah, and
And maybe when you get good enough, you'd be like, "Oh, George, I want to meet George."
Yeah.
Right? That's how that works.
Yeah, of course.
When you said David, I was like, oh, it makes sense. I watched a couple of his videos, and his your mannerisms are very stoic. So that he doesn't you don't smile much, and you don't raise your voice or tone much. You have shades on, and you let the audience react for you. So Daniel is capturing all of their reactions, and you're not really inciting anything. You're not trying to get a reaction out of them, but the actual reveal naturally, organically gets it out of them.
Yeah.
And that speaks volumes.
Yeah. You're definitely not the first person to, have said your mannerisms, you're kind of reminds me of David Blaine.
Though.
Yeah, and the reason why I perform that way, there's, it's, I don't know. I've tried to be as relaxed as I possibly can.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Yeah. I just try to be really relaxed, and I've never been one to be really, really eccentric when I'm performing. I try to keep it as if it's a casual interaction, but the how you mentioned with the shades, that just kind of became
there's a persona.
Yeah, it just kind of became a thing over the summer, because when we were shooting, there was a lot of warm, sunny days where I just had sunglasses on just because I needed them, and then I
was half expecting you to come with shades.
No. It's not. I don't wear them inside. It's more so when I'm performing on the street, it just kind of became my thing, and that was based off of the fact that in the beginning it was really just because I needed them, but it got to the point where I kept wearing them. It didn't feel right when I was on the street without them performing.
Right.
So it just kind of became a thing, with my hat, and my sunglasses, and but yeah, in terms of what you were talking about with the performance style and how I'm kind of stoic, I just gotta try to keep the interaction as intimate.
You even try to calm down the audience as they're escalating, and you're like, I haven't even revealed yet. Chill out. We're good.
Do I? Have I done that? Yeah.
Hold up. And then after the trick is over, they're they've lost it. And they're like, wait, let's keep going. There's another trick coming.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because I always try to, and I'm not even for sure how other magicians approach street magic, whether they show them one thing and keep it moving, but I always try to do a 10 to 15 minute set, with every group that I perform for, and if we're getting really good footage, I'll pull out everything,
Right,
if that's
right.
it's.
So and you can probably chime in on this as well. Well, before we move on to, I wanted to talk about camera work, but did you have anything to add, Jordan, about building a compelling story? So you've done voiceover work, you're a radio personality. In the back of your head, are you thinking about how to keep the audience engaged?
Yeah, they're definitely. I mean, there's got to be a story arc. It sounds like you're letting the audience help build that story arc to some extent. The way that they'll get hyped and bring it all the way up here, and then have the reveal and go nuts, and then maybe you turn to the camera and you're like, "Yep, that's what just happened."
Like you drop the mic without dropping the mic, like without
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
dropping the mic. They drop the mic for you. They're like,
Yeah.
"Give me the mic," and then like,
yeah, that's I've never thought about it in that type of way, but like that's pretty accurate.
cool. So with you and Daniel, or with him primarily doing the camera work, did you guys talk about angles and things like that, and like how do you guys go about that?
Yeah, that was a really big topic of conversation, when he was first starting to record, because I like I kind of touched on this earlier. The way that I like the stuff that I'm doing to be filmed is to keep the camera as an outside perspective. So more so like when you're watching it, I want it to feel like I don't want to acknowledge the camera, I don't want to perform facing the camera. I want to keep the interaction between me and the people that I'm performing for and the camera be just an outside perspective, just looking in. And the reason I like that is because it keeps the interaction that I'm having with the people that I'm performing for, just, me and them, very intimate, and, I've been suggested, people have, like other magicians have suggested to me that I should, perform facing the camera and talk to the camera, but that just doesn't feel right to me. I feel like, well, because, a lot of people online will be quick to call something, staged, or, the people are in it and, this and that, but it just gives a really phony, corny type of feeling for me, like personally, so, a lot of people would say otherwise, but for me, and that's actually how David Blaine, filmed his special as well. And what's funny is, I didn't really know much about David Blaine going into college, like I didn't really discover him until, I don't know, like toward the end of my sophomore year, when I actually started watching like all his specials and his interviews and whatnot. And what was really crazy is, a lot of the stuff that, he would talk about, I would have the same opinion on. Like his philosophy on magic was very, very similar to how I felt about it and what I thought, how I thought it should be performed and everything like that, including things with the camera angle, because he talked about the camera being an outside perspective, and I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, that's, that's kind of the same thing with me. But yeah, angles, I had to go over
things to make sure that he's not getting any of the shots that you're trying to, like, I don't know, like I'm not a big, like, I don't know much about magic, but like when you're trying to like get the audience's attention away from what you're trying to do, like, make Danny, don't get my hand or something in this shot, like things like that.
So he we've talked a lot in the beginning about angles, and I've told him, like, all right, for this position would be the best spot to be at for this, and for this trick you should be here, for this trick you should be here.
Dynamic duo.
Because it's so he knows at this point, he knows where he should be to capture everything properly and avoid exposing stuff and things of that nature. But yeah, angles, especially with magic, like we still talk about angles to this day, but it's pretty important.
If you could add one more member to your team, what would they do?
Probably a second cameraman.
Second camera, okay.
Or someone to be taking pictures while I'm performing, because
yeah,
Daniel, it's
hard while you're filming.
Yeah, it's hard to. We've talked about maybe like screen grabbing stuff and whatnot, but it's not the same when you're, would have another. Because I went to Detroit a while ago, and one of my friends who is like a music video maker, or he directs music videos, like edits music videos. he had asked if he could come, with us to shoot, like be a second cameraman. And I was like, yeah, like that'd be dope. And so it was like one night we were out, and Daniel was filming, and then we also had my friend Noah filming, and like
it worked out.
What we were able to do, because we were kind of, I don't know if it might have been one of the ones you watched, I'm not for sure, but in one of the videos, on one of my YouTube videos, I had scenes from two different angles because we had two different cameramen, and it made it was so much better.
That much more professional.
Yeah, it looks more professional for sure, but it also, if one angle didn't look so good or didn't get everything that it needed to get,
focus or
or whatever the case is, could go to the other angle, see if that was good. Okay, that's good. So
I'm sure there's up and coming artists at school before you leave school that are looking for experience to put in their portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know in the future that'll probably be something that we try to do or get a second. So to answer your question, it'd definitely probably be a second cameraman or photographer.
At this level that you're at right now, how are you continuing to grow? Who are you looking towards to continue to learn new things? What methods are you using?
Well, I mean that's always the goal for me is to continue to get better and better every day, obviously. And I'm a part of different organizations, and I have a lot of resources at my disposal, that I use in an effort to do just that.
So there's private memberships for magicians, or?
Yeah, you can think of it that way. Yeah,
okay, sure.
Pretty much. But I'm always watching, magicians that I look up to all the time, and learning from them, and getting their books and whatnot, and because there's lots of ways that you can take your performance to the next level, certain psychological subtleties and things of that nature that will really up the nature of your performance. So for me it's really just studying the people that I really look up to.
Anyone
reading
else
their work
besides David?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. I mean, you've probably never heard of them.
Maybe my audience has.
Guys like Doug McKenzie, I don't know if you've heard of them. I See Wind. They're not famous magicians like David Blaine, but they're
But you respect
guys.
their work.
Yeah, of course. So I mean that's the main way of how I continue to grow, studying other people.
But they're not revealing how they're doing it, so how are you learning just by watching? Or you can deconstruct. They are
yeah,
teaching.
like when they absolutely teach.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, to clear that up. So there's, like I said, there's tons of resources that you have at your disposal as a magician. So I mean, it's up to you how you're going to use them.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a lot of endless hours of practice for me individually. Right. But for me, practicing is like the fun part, like figuring out how you're going to do it, like how you're going to make this work, and and practicing it, getting it down to a T, and then going out and actually performing it, and that's your finished product, the reaction you get, from the people you're performing for, but the satisfaction of you, doing it, getting it down.
To this day, do you still get nervous at all?
Sometimes I get excited nerves.
That's good.
But it's not like...
And the longer you dwell on it, you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do it. But you just jump into it?
Yeah, it's definitely not like nerves the first time, where you're like anxiety, nervous to mess up type of nerves.
Nerves you said excited nerves, I'm happy to do this, I'm excited to do this.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel, I used to feel pressured to have a really, really good performance when I'm out on the street, because people aren't expecting what you're gonna show them. You know, they're already thinking, all right, like this is kind of gonna be like, you know. So I used to have nerves like, all right, I need to, you know, really kill this, prove them wrong. But now it's like, you know, I feel like people aren't really expecting it to be anything, but it's something that I'm used to now, you know, like I mean, you can just kind of tell in people's body language, you know, like, you know, when I go up to people, no one's really like, you know, like, yeah, like magic, like this is gonna be great, you know, like I think there was only like one time where, and I think this was when I was in LA, where we had approached like this man and this woman, and they were like extremely ecstatic about it, and like we're trying to get other people to watch. I'm like, hey, like he's about to do magic, da, 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 da. And I was like, wow, they're
Daniel's
excited.
running around like, hey, this guy joined.
You're like, these people are on drugs, but it's cool because they're excited to see me.
Yeah, like that was.
Yo, that's George Stanton. You haven't heard of George?
Yeah, like in my head, I was like, wow, they're excited about this without the guarantee that this is actually going to be good, which is like a first. Yeah, people are usually just kind of like, okay, like, you know, see, and, you know, they end up, you know, loving it by the end of it, but it's...
Do you have 2 or 3, like, favorite magic movies? Like, anywhere from, like, Sorcerer's Apprentice, like, old Disney movies on magic, to, like people doing, for anything from people doing magic to, like, a Penn and Teller type TV show where it's Fool Me, and you can tell whether or not Penn and Teller can actually see why magicians, or how magicians doing the trick.
Yeah, I don't think I have any favorite magic movies per se. Like something that people always ask me, have you seen that movie, what's it called, Now You See Me, or something like that. People are always like, oh, like you're like the dude, have you seen Now You See Me, da, da, da. That's not, I guess that's like a magic themed movie, but I guess I've never really been into magic themed movies as much as I have like actually watching like specials on TV, like you know, watching, you know, Penn and Teller Fool Us, like those are the types of things that I'm gonna benefit, you know, from watching.
You're always looking to grow, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, not really. I don't think I have any favorite movies.
George is all business. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, I don't need to be entertained. I'm becoming an entertainer.
Yeah, I mean, something like that. But not to say I don't like them, you know.
Sure.
Like I've seen, you know, movies like that before, but you know, I'm like I can't tell you how many times I've rewatched, like, for example, David Blaine's first special, his Street Magic special, which is just like crazy. Like that's how my Netflix special is gonna similar feeling.
We're calling it right now. Your Netflix special.
Yeah,
Okay, good,
definitely
good
gonna have one. The goal is to have one before I turn 24.
Yeah.
That's what I'm shooting for.
And is that going to be primarily street magic? Like, what's the ideal platform that you'd like to be at?
Well, just as an overall goal, you know, I want to be in the, you know, position where I'm traveling the world, you know, performing and being able to live, you know, be financially set just off of doing that, you know, not having to worry about anything else. But in terms of like a platform, I mean, I'm always going to have my YouTube, you know, but I think what I really want is, you know, a couple specials where, you know, they're aired on, you know, like a Netflix special or maybe like an HBO special or, you know, whatever. Like that's a goal of mine to do for sure.
When you said international, I was like, I wonder if you need a translator. But like for most of your tricks, you probably don't need a translator.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
Yeah. Well, I guess it kind of depends.
Right.
Like the mentalism stuff I do, where you're talking a lot, that'd probably be something that. But you know, that's the good thing about magic. You know, when you see it, I mean, you know it when you see it. You know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are. I mean, my overall goal is really just to be financially stable. Just
For sure.
doing that. You know, that being my career and being, you know. But yeah, then there's the other goals that I want, the specials, the Netflix, you know, like I'm trying to do it all.
Yeah. But you probably want to keep it on the street. That's where like the passion lies.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think.
And the filming of it takes it international.
Yeah, like street magic, like that's always going to be my
You don't
favorite
want to be
venue.
on, like Penn and Teller are on stage, right? So like you don't want to be on stage like presenting to.
Well, I know that over time I'll eventually probably have to develop
Really?
a stage performance,
okay.
you know, and that's actually funny you brought that up. Somebody inquired about me doing a formal performance for this event I have in like December, like doing like a formal short form performance and then doing close up, like going around from groups to groups, which is what I usually do. And I was like, man, like, you know, formal, like the reason why I don't really like a stage performance is because I don't, like I guess I'm so used to performing up close and personal for people. I don't think I have the stage presence that I would need and skills that, you know, to really give as good of a performance as I would want to. But you know, it's I know it's something that I'm gonna have to develop over time, because you know, so it's not like I'm, you know, saying like
you're opposed.
No.
You're not opposed to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so
I think David Blaine, a lot of his stage stuff that does really well is mostly endurance based, because and we talked about this right before, like he's both an endurance artist and a magician at the same time, and like something like sticking an ice pick through your hand in front of 200 people is always going to give some shock value, or staying underwater for 14 minutes. He's the Guinness World Record holder for holding his breath underwater, or like he will swallow a goldfish or a frog and then spit it back up and it's completely fine. I mean, but the interesting thing when he does endurance stuff is he'll explain how he does it, or like the training process that goes into getting his lungs ready to hold, you know, his breath for 14 minutes underwater, or, you know, the training process of like not eating for a day and like literally just drinking some baking soda and water to make his stomach so neutral in acidity that he can have a frog in the water that is his stomach and then be able to spit it back up. And I thought that was really cool seeing him, that he would explain the endurance stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without any worry.
Yeah,
because who's still willing to try that?
Right.
Yeah,
those aren't.
Like, you can tell me how you did it. It's still wild, and I'm not going to attempt it myself.
Those aren't tricks. That's, you know, really crazy control of your body, and that's, you know, something that I don't have interest in doing. And even if I did, my mom would never let me as long as she's alive.
It builds credibility to how much work he put into his craft.
Yeah, absolutely. He's an extremely hard worker. Like the amounts of practice. I mean, not even the endurance, like just the close-up magic itself. Like he's repetition, like ridiculous pursuit of, you know, trying to. So, yeah, it paid off.
Do you think you could run out of tricks? Will it get redundant? Like you'll just run out of card things to do in front of people?
No, no, because I mean I'm constantly always working on new things. But one of the things that, you know, I'm kind of at an advantage for when I, you know, get hired for events, these, you know, where I'm hired to kind of like walk around, do from group to group to group, is, you know, you don't have to do a different thing every single time because you're performing for different groups of people. So I literally have a set that I do, you know, every single time. I mean, I'll deviate from it, you know, from when I feel like it.
With these functions, how hard was it to coordinate between you and Daniel's schedule? Like, what if he can't make it? Then who's, like, unless filming's not allowed, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, I'm obviously going to be at every event, you know, but he's just as dedicated as I am to it, you know, as me. So yeah, we'll always make it work. But, you know, I mean, like you said, some events we're asked not to record at. You know, that's understandable. Sometimes people don't want the whole private parties recorded, whatever. But yeah, we always make it work for the things that, you know, are really, really important, you know.
Cool.
So yeah, it's never really too much of an issue.
Cool. Do you have any other questions, Jordan?
You ever use magic to pick up a girl?
Oh snap!
No, people ask me that all the time, and the reason that I purposefully don't is because I love magic. No, well, I mean, I love magic for what it is. So I feel like using it to
Evil.
do that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It kind of corrupts it,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay,
like, I
okay.
think,
They're like, oh, this dude's all about the tricks. Okay, I don't know if we can get in
yeah,
there.
like I feel like if I ever decided to do that, it'd be at a point where like, you know,
Where you're already comfortable with them.
Well, yeah. Well, if I'm like,
You're like, we have to be going steady before I can start doing card tricks for you.
well, no, I think I wouldn't be as passionate about it anymore if I started using it with the purpose to do things like that. But I've never done it. Yeah, I've never done that just because I feel like it kind of corrupts it, and you know, I like it for what it is.
For sure.
You know, so yeah, that probably won't ever happen. Believe it or not.
Good for you. Do you have any advice for up and coming magicians?
Practice. Like that's, I don't know, like that's the overarching advice. Like that's endless.
Practice and put yourselves out there.
Yeah, and like being bold, you know, like, you know, taking those risks, you know, like trying to because I know I'm not the only one who has had to overcome, you know, like anxiety where like, you know, you're first starting to perform. Like I have a friend that I met actually through YouTube. Like he had found my YouTube channel. He's like from Canada, and he performs, but he's telling me, you know, sometimes when he's performing, like his hands shake a little bit from the anxiety, which I've heard of before. Like that's not like an uncommon thing, but I think that was definitely like the first, you know, obstacle I had to overcome, you know, like we talked about. But yeah, like the main thing is the practice. Like you know, if you really want to do it and you want to excel in it, you know, you're gonna pursue it and practice, and you know, at all costs. So
Right.
I mean, and it's also the thing about it, you know, once you learn something, or you know, you're being taught something, or you know, you can always put your own spin on it, you know. Like I think being a good magician, a lot of it is, you know, your creative ability to turn it around, like, you know, make it yours,
Right.
you know, like not doing it, you know, as someone else does.
He's
you
just
know,
another
kinda,
such and such, yeah.
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 You're just kind of putting your own spin on it, you know. So
Okay.
I mean, there's like a big creative process
Right.
with
Yeah.
magic for sure.
Well, we talked about for a hot second, just like, you know, your focus as a kid and jumping from magic to soccer. But it's interesting to think about now. You said you learn a lot from YouTube videos or tutorials. I mean, the ADD mindset that is, at least I feel like everyone our age and younger, like it's so hard for me to even watch a guitar chord tutorial on YouTube. Like I can do like 4 or 5 chords and then like I'm playing it, but more than that, like it's, you know, you're gonna have me watch a 10-minute video on how to play a specific song. My brain's gonna be all over the place, and that's, you know, my ADD.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a sense of discipline that goes into learning something and being meticulous and doing it over and over again until you have it right.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, I mean, I don't really use YouTube as a source now, but, you know, back when I first started, that was pretty much my only source.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you definitely have to be disciplined. I mean, but if it, you know, you're pursuing your passion and it's really what you want to do, you know, I feel like it should
You'll do whatever
come
it
naturally.
takes.
You know, like do whatever you need to do. Like
Right.
I was, like even this past weekend, I think I was in my room for a good 5 or 6 hours, literally just doing this one move over and over and over and over and over again, trying to get it down packed. So it's really how much you want. You know, you want it. You know,
Yeah.
it's you know, you'll do anything you have to do in order to excel at whatever your passion is. I mean, I like it's really inspiring for me when I see people, you know, taking these huge leaps and steps forward, trying to pursue what they want to do. I mean, you know, obviously for magic, you know, but even other things too, like whether that be, you know, rapping or drawing or like whatever your passion is.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, you know, it's always inspiring for me to hear someone else's story about, you know,
That's what
how
the
they did
podcast
it.
is all about.
Yeah, which is why I was drawn to it.
Well, George, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure meeting you, buddy.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you in the next episode. Stay curious. Habla aloha.